Just about ready. Alright, y'all are listening to Education by Ed. It is October 29th, 2017, and Ed wanted this to come out first.
Imagine, if you will, a world where they think animals can read and comprehend signs.
Missing is all that's going on there. Now, Donna, you got quite the vent today. It sounds like what's going on with you.
Well, I wanted to voice my opinion on something that's been bothering me for a really long time.
Okay.
I tried writing the newspaper and contacting TV stations, but nobody seems to want to stay with this. So that's why I'm calling you guys.
What's the issue?
Well, over the past few years, I've been involved in 3 separate car accidents involving deer.
Mm-hmm.
With the population and everything. Each of these incidents, they've occurred shortly after I saw a deer crossing sign on the highway. Well, my frustration is that Minnesota and North Dakota Departments of Transportation would allow these deer crossings to be in such high traffic areas. I mean, I've even seen them on the interstate. Why are we encouraging deer to cross at the interstate? I don't get it. That's such a high traffic area. I mean,
are you kidding?
I understand that deer are wild animals and they need to travel across the streets occasionally to survive. And, of course, to find food. But it seems to me that so irresponsible of us to allow these deer crossings to be in areas where these deer are so likely to be struck by oncoming traffic. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's just, I mean, you think they would put deer crossings maybe, in, smaller towns, maybe during at a school crossing. It would be a safer place for them to cross.
Wait.
Put the deer crossing sign.
Deer crossings aren't telling deer that it's safe to cross there. It's just more of like an alert for drivers so they know it's like a high deer population.
The government put the deer crossings there. They can direct the deer population anywhere they want to by moving that deer crossing sign. I mean, why in the world would they place it on the highway or the interstate? I mean, God, there are so many other places I can think of than putting the deer crossing signs on busy highways and interstates.
You seem to be under the misunderstanding that the deer are somehow attracted to the deer crossing sign.
Well, yeah, the deer crossing sign is there to allow the deer to know that's where they need to cross.
Right. And all these car accidents you had involved a deer after you'd saw a deer crossing sign.
Exactly. I mean, I'm trying to watch out for the deer, but I mean, speed limit's 55, 65. How am I supposed to, you can't brake really quick if if the deer just is crossing in that deer crossing area.
So you'd like to see these signs move somewhere safer?
Right. If we can move them, don't put deer crossing signs on the interstate or freeways. Put them in lower traffic areas. Somewhere where the speed limit's a lot slower. Maybe small towns. I don't know. I think school crossings is a good idea.
Well, listen, we will. You say you've tried to contact quite a few people about this.
Right, yeah. I wrote at least 3 or 4 letters, and
we will spread the word, okay? We will try to kind of help you raise some awareness for this issue, okay?
Oh, thank you. We need to move those deer crossing signs.
We appreciate your comment this morning.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
All yours.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I am not an attorney, a lawyer, or man with a title of nobility, and that's the one thing that part of tonight's conversation is going to be about. People with title and nobility, too, people don't get it. A title of nobility, if you say African American, China American, you're using a title of nobility. That means you're not an American. You are a foreign agent to the British government. It's that simple. This is the point where people have to comprehend how simple the reality of these things really are. My main topic tonight is getting into religion, and Corey Feldman has been bringing this stuff out with child pornography and the Hollywood structure. Well, it's nothing new. It's been going on since Hollywood started. It's been going on since the 1920s. That's the thing that surprises me when people think it's new, and these men and women are not writing affidavits. They keep going, oh, we need to raise money. We need to do this. We need to do that. No, you don't. First off, you need to write an affidavit if you're serious. You need to file the criminal charges if you're serious. And everybody keeps going, I need to raise money. Well, you're doing the root of all evil of your Bible. And that's the one thing people get on me. I mean, I've been seriously attacked on Facebook because I do not go along with the Bible. I do not believe in the devil's book that came from England, period. So I've been severely attacked, and I get emails and things like this flashing over Facebook, people trying to go, oh, Ed, you need to, pray to God. Oh, Ed, you need to. God came from England. God is not an American structure. I'm native. Okay? Even white natives have been here. If you're white-skinned and your family's been here for over a couple hundred years, you're native. I always get disturbed when people say, oh, well, the natives should leave. If you're Indian, you should go back to India because that's where you came from. No, it didn't. The whole point is that these people who claim this stuff are people that are trying to steal your assets, your homes, your children, so they can rape them. And Christianity endorses rape. And if you read the Bible, doesn't the Bible say rape is acceptable? That's the one thing that disturbs me. The Quran, all these other religions say it's acceptable in their own Bibles. And people say, oh, no, we can't do this. And then you're going against your own Bible that you're praying to? That's what sort of shocks me. People would sit there and go against their own Bible and saying that, oh, it doesn't happen. It doesn't say that in this book. Well, maybe you need to really read the book. Because you're not reading the book, and if you are, you're interpreting a book just like a lawyer and attorney does. Interpret the law. The Constitution is not open for interpretation. Learn to read it, learn to comprehend it. When you start interpreting the Constitution, you are just as bad as the devil. You are just as bad as an attorney or a lawyer, because if you do the historical record research, an attorney and a lawyer and a judge belong to the British Auxiliary Register to the King and Queen of England, the Vatican, the Church, the Bible. They are the black robe popes in the court. And people go, oh, well, they can't do this and they can't do that. Yes, they are doing that. You're living it. We're living in hell right now today. You're living in a structure of Nazism right now today. I do not comprehend how you cannot see the hell that you are living. And everybody keeps going, well, hell is for the afterlife, and there's a hell from the Bible that says there's a hell for afterlife. Why don't you please? And I'll be posting a lot of this stuff up on the website, new.org and Tracker, so people can comprehend this. I will be posting religion structures from pastors and reverends after 40, 50 years in the church, realizing the hell was made by man to keep control of man, to destroy man. That is the point. You have to realize this is controlling man. This has nothing to do with your protection. This has nothing to do with you whatsoever. Okay, you're allowing this to destroy your family. You are allowing this to come in between your structure. This is the one thing that, and I just got another message, and I love it when people keep emailing me this and oh, you should be a United States citizen. A citizen and a national. Wake up, people. Read the 14th Amendment. People say, oh, that's the enemy. That doesn't work for us. Yes, it does. The 14th Amendment clearly states clearly states, it's very simple, clearly states that a citizen or national is an enemy of this country. If you are a citizen or national, you give up your rights. You have no rights in this country whatsoever. Simple. A citizen is a national is a collective organization controlled by the government. And that's what the legal system completely says. That's what, if you actually read your Bible, it even says it in the Bible in so many words. And that's where people don't comprehend this stuff. It's like the video that you listen to. You know, this lady was very serious about dealing with the deer. Okay? To me, that's just meat on a hoof. That's dinner. Let me tell you, venison is excellent meat. It's better than the stuff in the store. So, very much better in the store. And, you know, she's talking about that, to control that by moving the signs. Like deer will read signs. That's like you reading signs half the time. You know, you don't read half the signs. You know, if it's not even in a picture form when you're traveling down the highway or the road, if it's not in a picture, you don't comprehend it. You know, that is the one thing, that people do not comprehend these things, of what's going in front of their face. And that's very disturbing when you sit there and you realize that this lady was originally was that serious about what she was doing. You know, and she's serious because she didn't think things through. Most people do not think. That is the frustration we really do have in society, as people call it. I don't like the word society. That's a British terminology. I'm not a British citizen. I am not a British national. I don't even support the British government. I don't support the Queen of England. I do not support the Bible. I do not support the Vatican. And when you go to church, isn't it interesting when you go to church that churches are 501c3s, they pay what they call no taxes. And the other point is, why do you pay taxes? You're not supposed to pay taxes on your labor. How come people don't read the law? And if they actually read the treaty in the Bankruptcy Act of 1933, they can't determine what wage and salary is, technically. And when you actually read the structure, including with House Resolution 192, the only ones who are obligated to pay taxes are illegals, registered church members, registered voters, and all elected and public servants. Because when they put in the de facto Federal Reserve note, remember, a note is like a note, a property note or anything like that. A note is a promise to pay. Does not mean it pays, but it's a promise to pay. So when you go in, you exchange that dollar for food, you're making a promise to pay that vendor someday that amount. You know, you didn't pay for it. It's a promissory note to pay. It's a labor tax. So, you know, and you didn't perform a labor to get that meal. So it's a promise to pay. And so we live these lives that we teach our children through the Bible. Through, like, Halloween is coming up in 2 days. Halloween, another satanic day, technically. But if you go back in the Farmer's Almanac, that goes back to the farming structure when people used to go by seasons. But then we had people that decided to change those things for their own vendetta or personal needs. We have seasons. We technically have 4 seasons in our world. And that means every place in the world has a season that happens. Winter, summer, fall. You know, in spring, if you want to do the spring part, that's 5. But it is paying attention to what's going on around us. You know, it's like one of these things that we all have these things that go on with child abuse that they claim. 2006, I did a ballot measure, a petition that I did in the state of Oregon because they were trying to make it illegal. Cape Brown was trying to make it illegal for you to spank your child, and if you spank your child, you do a minimum of 30 days in jail. So I did a ballot or petition, and I counted them, and we did that, the survey about spanking children. 70% of the people that did the survey with me, and I sat in front of Walmart, Safeway, different other grocery stores or different other markets, And my expense, my time, nobody paid me to do this. I paid the gas, my own food and everything. I'm the one who paid for the paper, the pens to do all this, the paper. And people autographed it and did a survey, and 70% of the people said, hey, they believe in spanking a kid. I do too, because sometimes you have to swat a kid's hand before they touch the stove. Then you got people going, well, if the kid don't touch the stove, he's not going to learn. So in other words, you want to fry that child's hand so that way he has a permanent scar for life. See, that's what gets to me about some people. I don't see how they want to permanently scar a child for something that is swatting them to learn, and then when they get older, then they can comprehend what it means, why you swatted them, and then all of a sudden they start comprehending, what do they call that? Oh, responsibility. See, that's the saddest part of today. We don't teach responsibility to children. And that's the saddest part. Our parents didn't teach us, a lot of us, a responsibility. They sure taught us a TV set. Mind control of a school and government agencies put you in front of a TV set or a radio, and you're on your own and you're supposed to know all this stuff, which is ridiculous. People don't know unless you sit there and walk them through them, help them educated. It's like I got a deal that's on our new .org tractors I've been putting all over Facebook, dealing with newborn children. Own your child. Own your bloodline. Claim your bloodline. Prove you're a lawful American. And people say, well, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? It doesn't matter if I'm lawful or legal, if I'm a citizen or if I'm from another country. I have rights. No, you don't. The Constitution protects your rights from elected and public servants. If you are a foreigner and you pay all your taxes by administrative rules until you become fifth generation lawful American, legal to lawful, legal is British law. That's the 1871 contract we have with the British government. Type in 1871, two constitutions, read them. The first constitution is the Constitution of 1776. So ratified 1778. I got listened to other talk shows this last week that, the Constitution don't apply. We make up our own Constitution. We're new governments. We're new judges. We're new marshals, and we can do all this stuff. No. Our forefathers put a structure in place. Remember, they came from England. They already lived the Christian Crusades. They lived in England when they were beheading people. What was that? The latter part, after they were born, they were living in England where it was a crime to have King James Bible. And if you had King James Bible until King George went back in 1778, it literally was a beheading offense to have the Bible in your home or read it. 70 countries in the world, it's illegal. It's a jailing offense to have the Bible in your home or on your property of King James Bible. Because it preaches rape, rob, carnage. It teaches, it educates you how to rape people in it. It educates you on the carnage in it. When you really read it, you're not supposed to interpret it as the Bible. I've been to Bible study where everybody wants to interpret it or make different opinions. Opinions are like diapers, and politicians need to be changed regularly. You don't want your kids sitting in a shitty diaper because they get a hell of a rash and it takes a long time for the skin to heal. And you got to think about these things. That's like the lady on this video, and she didn't think about things before she talked. And see, the saddest part about that, she was already programmed mentally by the system. So she already just went ahead whatever she thought the way she was programmed. She didn't logically or comprehend her own thinking or her own words. That's like saying that you're going to sit there and watch the squirrel run across the road and you're not going to hit him when all of a sudden he ran across the road, and you have a choice. Either hit the deer or the squirrel, or go off a cliff, or go through a fence, or go through a home. And I've seen people actually try to avoid hitting a deer and then run through somebody's home. That's the saddest part. Why are you avoiding that when the deer And they go, well, the house could be repaired. That there only gets one life. I get that. But then again, when you damage somebody else's property, and you don't have the finances to fix it, and the insurance company might cover you, because a lot of insurance companies today, it depends on how you file your claims and stuff. They do play games. They don't sit there and do things what they call legally. I know. I've been on advisory boards in the state of Oregon watching this stuff, insurance advisory board, where they come up with this stuff so they don't have to pay you when you get injured on the job or pay you in an auto accident. And because they don't pay you, the insurance broker, foreign agent, gets a cut of the policy. Remember, because when somebody claims on that policy, they have to cash it in. Then they rewrite a new policy. That's why if you get in an accident or something like that, you notice how you do get a new policy? Yeah, your rates might not always go up, but you notice that they'll send you a new policy in the mail because they cash it in. And there's reinsurance on that policy. And that's where people do not comprehend how this works. It's like with children that are going through this structure right now who are being assaulted. I'm talking real children being assaulted. I'm not talking kids, in their teens playing doctor. Or teens, because there's been 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, what we would call kids, some of us call kids, they would call themselves young adults. If you go back into the 1980s, they were called young adults. So it depends on the way you look at things and how we've been programmed to look at other things and how we're designed to take things into consideration. So if they are wanting to get married, how are we supposed to stand in their way? Isn't that their decision? If they're that age? No, it's not until they're 18 technically. But if the parents decide to go along with it, then that is their decision when the parents consent. If a child is truly raped, I believe, even if a woman literally is raped, I think the woman should decide on the punishment to the perpetrator. I don't believe a judge do not have any rights making any decisions on those type of things. A jury does, a judge does not. I do believe that the injured party has the full decision on those things. And if the decision is to castrate the individual, so be it. But that's what they deserve. That's called justice, is you want justice. Most people don't even comprehend just us. It's just us. That's like Jesus. Jesus. Just us. Jesus. Step out. Just us. Jesus. Just us. Like I always love the people that, I always love doing this to heavy religious people. If Jesus sat down next to you, you would call him a liar. You would. Doesn't matter if you performed a miracle, right in front of you. Whatever you asked and it happened. You wouldn't believe your eyes, you'd call him a liar. Oh, I've had religious people get extremely upset with me on that one. How can you sit there and say that? Well, isn't it true? Would you call him a liar if you didn't know? Of course you would. It's really disturbing when people sit there and they want to play these mind-altering games with themselves. It's like the lady that didn't comprehend what she was really saying until afterwards. By the way, we all have done it. I've done it. You've done it. And that's the point. We cannot be afraid or ashamed of things. Okay? And you can't buy your way in heaven. You cannot pay the church for misery and that for the punishment. And if you have harmed somebody, you have to make amends to the injured victim, corpus delicti. And if you ever write a court case up and you are the injured party, you always have to put corpus delicti, 13771. If you do not use corpus delicti, you're not the injured party. See, it's learning their legal system compared to what you think it is. Attorneys and judges are not going to tell you this because they're going to lie because they need the money. That's simple. You know, I'm watching all these groups that are going, oh, it's going to cost us $1 million for attorneys to defend these people again. And it's like, where the hell are you coming up with these figures, number one? And if you actually do the research, and I've got them on my website, and I do put them out there, courts are free so long as that you are, bloodline American, an individual. Oh, that's right. Individual is a British term, too. So either you're bloodline American or you're a living man or woman. And that does apply even to possibly immigrants. That depends on the way you write your affidavit. I'll leave it that way. But the courts are free because we're dealing with free British court systems, and that's part of the 1871 contract. So when you know somebody who's been perpetrated on, especially that's been really raped, because sometimes, you know, when we were all younger, most of us when we were younger, we played doctor in our late teens, mid-teens. You know, some of us explored a little further than that. So we're supposed to be punished for that or go to jail? Like kids are going to jail today for that? That's ridiculous. Okay? The parents have the decision, not these men and women that are making financial gain for the corporation. Corporations have no legal authority. And that's why I do recommend the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act that I tried to get finished again today because I've had people call me up the last couple of weeks. I even had a gentleman call me up a couple of days ago and literally bitched me out going, where the hell is it? I need it. So I got to finish that up. I had 2 other things I had to finish up. I just got the other one done today. So I will be getting on the corpus delicti tomorrow. I mean the 1938 4 Act tomorrow, and so I will have that. That will be posted by next Sunday show, because that's the one next thing I got to jump on and get that one finished. Because I got to get that one finished myself. Because I got to file that on the Oregon State House and Senate, and Kate Brown, and that's part of the treason charges I'll be finishing up on Kate Brown. I have no idea what's going on with the so-called election that the other guys have got going on. I do know that 2 of the people that are involved in that campaign, I personally know them been involved in other campaigns, and I know that they've been involved in those campaigns in the past for personal and financial reasons only. I know, I've been there, been around them. So, you know, and that's the one thing that when you see this stuff, I don't have a problem with people making a living on this, but be honorable, be honest. You know, we got a campaign to recall a governor. I don't know if they got the signatures or not. I do have a petition out there that is lawfully done and legally done. So if you autograph it, you send it to the Secretary of State, and so many of those get done, that legally puts her out because we the people have the voice. We the people own the government. But see, when everybody keeps calling the government is attacking me, the government's doing this to me, I don't like it when people say that because I'm not doing it to you. The other listeners on this show are not doing it to you. Because if you actually read the Constitution and comprehend what it really means compared to these other men and women out there trying to claim different titles of nobility, 13th Amendment does exist. Actually, the 13th Amendment legally has been passed twice. And I've got that research up on, I believe both of that is dates, and the research from the Congressional Acts are on new.org and trackers. So they actually did that twice. That was even before the Civil War. Oh, that's right. Even the South agreed with it. The British government agreed with it because the South fought for the British government. And we know that the British government funded both sides, yes. But we knew that the North was not going to have slavery and we weren't going to pay taxes. The South agreed to pay taxes, the tea taxes, property taxes. We weren't going to do that. 1990, I was arguing on that at the public hearings in Lincoln County because they were trying to incorporate property outside the city limits to pay taxes. Let me make it a very apparently fact to you today. When you sit there today and you buy land, you make sure you buy it from the land owner. And then when you do that, and if you got a city or state contract involved, you make sure that city or state contract clearly states that you are not going along. Okay? You're not going along with city, county, federal government, administrative and statute rules. I've looked at some of these new contracts they've got out there, and it says, thou shalt do what the city, county, and state tells me to do, or any elected and public official. We got away from democracy and the Bible of the devil. Because if you go back in real history of the Christian Crusades, I mean, Christians, they're the worst people in the world. They lie, cheat, and steal. How many of you Christians out there, I'm not talking about the ones that, don't play the game or might be honorable, but how many Christians you know that called the cops, turned in a family member, turned in something because of something they did believe in? Same thing Nazi Germany did with the people in Nazi Germany. See something, report it. Report something you see. You're not supposed to think. You're supposed to be a programmed robot. Somebody farts in the wind. It's like kids in school, and I've said this before, getting arrested for farting in a classroom called offensive odor, and they're putting little children literally in handcuffs for farting? For natural body functions? Have we lost it? How mental are people? That's like the one lady, doesn't even comprehend on deer signs. God, I can imagine when she finally comprehended, which she, oh shit, but, people need to think before they speak sometimes. I'm guilty of it. Years back, I used to speak and react. I used to be one of those guys when I used to see a woman being assaulted, I'd go kick the guy's ass with no problem. I was the knight in white and shiny army. I thought I was doing something good. And then most of the time I found out the woman started it. Either hit the guy, a couple times stabbed the guy. She started it. And then she's crying wolf. Not all women do that, but there are a lot of them do it. I've witnessed it, seen it with my own eyes. I've witnessed it in bars. I've had women start those type of things in the bars. And then you wonder why child abuse is going on, what they call child abuse. And it's really disturbing, because we do know some of this stuff really does happen. And when these actual men and women are speaking out, like Corey is speaking out and stuff, these guys need to write an affidavit. They need to write the criminal charges on their perpetrators. And all these people come out, all these recent court cases that have come out, and some of them have been acquitted, yelling, we need money, we need money. What do you need money? Write the criminal charges. Get everybody out there. Put it out there. Let everybody endorse the criminal charges. Educate people on the Constitution and the law so these criminals go to prison. And if you really believe in that devil's book you read that I call the Bible that everybody jumps on me for, doesn't it say in the Bible, the root of all evil is money? Oh, that's right. They changed that. And then we got PETA right now wants to have the Vatican change the Bible because they don't want harm of animals in the Bible at all. So they want to change the Bible so it's rewritten in vegan. It's real. So we're going through and changing all this stuff for feel good. Feelers. Oh, my feelers were hurt. Like California, if they say the wrong thing about transgender, they throw you in jail. Come on, people, grow up. Where are the children at? You are acting like the children. My feelings were hurt. I mean, and then they got the bully law out, and I'm watching people going, even for words. I mean, people in New York, in England right now are even arresting kids that are saying different things on the internet, that other people wouldn't agree with. They're arresting them. And they're calling it bully structure. Even when they're even putting sexual stuff up back and forth with each other, the kids are doing that, it's cute between them, with boyfriend and girlfriend or partner, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to do a show on the gay and lesbians coming up, too, really hard on that one. Because I want the gays and lesbians to comprehend to stay out of the damn system and be adults instead of going along with these games that they're mentally challenged to do. Write a contract between you guys. Stay out of the system. That's like that lady in Minnesota. I'm not going to let their marriage certificate go on because the Bible tells me I'm not supposed to do that. Well, the Bible is not part of your government. And if you think that, go to England. Get the hell out of my country. Because the Bible raped the people of this country. The Bible raped the children. It says it right in the Bible. The Bible is allowed to rape children. You're allowed to rape children in the Bible. Reread it. It says it right in the Bible. And then everybody goes, I'm a God-fearing man and woman. And then you sit there and you're saying that you're allowed to rape, rob, and pillage because it says it in the Bible, so that's acceptable. That's your God. Your God does it. So you're saying by your God it's all right. And that's the point. I ask people, what God do you believe in? You're saying your God gives you the right to rape, rob, and pillage. And then you have the audacity to go out in the world and say, these poor So I get really disturbed when people say, my Bible has rights. I argue with this on the Facebook, even with other religious people going on with the KKK. KKK is founded by the Christians. The Christianity Bible founded by the Democratic Party of England, of the United States. Type it in. Founding KKK. And then you go, well, the KKK are bad people, but then again, you're a registered Democrat. Excuse me, what? I'm a registered Democrat. I am a hypocritical ass because I say we shouldn't have people saying that that's racism. But then again, I'm a Democrat that founded racism in this country against one another. I'm a Democrat that founded rape against the children with their own Bibles and all this stuff, and I support that. But that's okay. That's all right so long as I pay every Sunday to the religion, pay for the sins, I'm forgiven. You can't buy your way into heaven. You're living hell right now. The only way you're going to change hell is educate your kids. That means own your child, own your bloodline. Get that bloodline out of the state's hands. And there's a lot of people here in the last few months I want to thank them for the courage they have done when they have dealt with their life that came into their life. Claiming their bloodline. If you don't own your bloodline, the state does, the Vatican does. The reason why that judge wears that black robe, he's the black robe pope. Look it up in the Black Law Dictionary what the black robe pope really is, a lawyer. I mean, see, that's the point. People don't read. You go by a TV set or what Disney says or some movie and you just assume it. You don't read real history. That's the saddest part we are living today. You know, it's one of those things that it's very so sad that everybody goes, oh, these poor children are being raped, but then again, you endorse it and support it. Are you protecting your bloodline? Are you raising your children so they're educated, and are you protecting them by the land that you own, setting the land up? Because it ain't for you. It's supposed to be for your kids so they can eat, feed, and water, pass your soul down, pass your genetics down, pass your life down, because without that, you don't exist. And everybody goes, well, they're 18. We throw them on the street. Hey, I'm a British subject. That's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to protect their bloodline when they're 18 or 16. We throw them to the street. British have been doing that, and that goes all the way back in history. The beginning of when even Britain became Britain. Read it. It's all up on the internet, and it's really in the Bible. If you actually read the Bible, and that's the point. People don't really read the Bible. They interpret what they want to read in different sections. And it's amazing that I have fun with the Bible and people, because it's like if God sat there and did all this stuff, how come God would put the devil in our lives? Oh, we need a balance, people say. What kind of crazy stuff is that? If life is supposed to be on earth as it is in heaven, as heaven is supposed to be on earth, that's one of the terminologies in the Bible itself. So either we're supposed to live in heaven and have peace on earth as in heaven as in earth, or we're living in the living hell that we're living today, where people turn in their family, people rape the children, and it's acceptable. How many people that even witnesses raped, even raped the children that kept their mouths shut? Literally rape. I'm not talking about kids playing doctor or 15-year-olds that are the first time they believe that they're really in love. Some 15-year-olds do last 50 and 60 years. But that's up to them. Who gives another man or a woman rights to tell somebody else how to live in their life? People say, my body is my vessel. Well, okay, so your vessel is a registered agent, because all vessels, and that includes automobiles, have to be registered. That's a boat. That's a plane. That's a ship. So when you sit there and claim I'm a vessel, well, it says that you don't have rights to your body. So you endorse the assaults that you would get. You encourage these assaults to happen to you. See, this is the point that gets to me about how hypocritical people are. Really hypocritical. They don't teach Native history in our colleges or in our schools at all. Very few that really do. Even the ones that claim they do, even in the Native schools, they really don't even know what the hell it is. They've been so indoctrinized by the Bible, it goes back to the Cherokee and Blackfoot back in the 1800s when they gave us chicken pot blankets and then gave us the Bible to preach for the ministers and nuns. And then when children are raped today, then they give them the Bible to read and pray to. And you give them a book that says in the Bible it's okay to rape children. Says it in the Quran too. So you teach the children, oh, you're supposed to have rights to your body, but then again you don't. See, that's what gets to me about people. Either you do have a right to that body, and it's like I support abortion because a woman, by the Constitution, it's her body, equal rights. People say, well, no, she has a baby in her. She doesn't have rights anymore if she gets pregnant. That's a parasite eating off of her. And it's up to her if she wants that parasite to live or not. It's like if you had a parasite, a worm living in your body, men, do you have a right to decide if that worm is going to live? Like the ones that came from all the ones with the, what was that food, sushi that people ate, and they got the parasitic worms up to 3 feet that were growing in their intestines. So you don't have a right to take that worm out then, that parasite. You're supposed to die then. See, it's like, come on, where's the common sense? Where's reality? Where's compassion? Where's your compassion even to yourself? You ever think about how the compassion happens for yourself or for somebody else? Or is it all about the Bible, what somebody else tells you how to think? I got a thing on my wall where a church has put in, and more than one church have put this up, free thinkers or Satan's slaves. And I find it amazing that these people do this. I've had actual people tell me on talk shows that I've been on, even national talk shows. I've been on major talk shows where people says, you know, well, you're not supposed to have the right to think. The Bible teaches this, that, and the other thing. You're supposed to go by the Bible. And I've argued with these people going, you know, how come the Constitution gives me a right? Well, the Constitution, it gives me the right to my words and my Bible. Yes, it does. It ensures your rights, but what happens if I don't want to believe in your rights? What happens if I don't believe in your rights, and next thing you know, you're shoving your rights down my throat? Because I don't want to believe the way you believe. You're telling me I have to believe the way you believe, and I'm not entitled to have my rights, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions. And then you tell a child they're not supposed to have their rights, their emotions. That's like when I put that ballot title out when the state of Oregon was trying to make it a 30-day day in jail minimum for disciplining your child. Minimum 30 days. I'm glad we defeated that in the House and Senate. Because anything, even yelling at your child, you would go to jail for 30 days. If anybody actually read the bill like I did. And I was there at the House floor, public hearings, testified against the bill and turned my survey in. That's when the former director of DHS attacked me, Goldman, said he can't put this in. And Senator Peter Courtney goes, well, if he cannot put his survey in, we can't take yours. Like ministers. You could do mail order ministers every day, day long. You know, I mean, 90%, what is that? At least 60% to 70% of your ministers today are mail ordered. They're not, they didn't go to school. In the school, some of the ones that went to school went to your local church and grew out of your local church, and they were indoctrinized. And then your local church gets mailings from the Vatican to tell them what to do. And that's like Romans 13, Section 2 says, Section 2 and 4, says, thou shalt do what the government tells me. Well, either you are the government, by the Constitution it says we the lawful Americans are the government, or you can go by the British government of a foreign country dictating to you how to wipe your tail. And that means you're not a man. You're not even a woman. You're saying you don't have no rights. You don't even love your children. To me, that tells me people don't love their children. They lie to their children daily. You know, Halloween's coming up. Well, you're lying to your child there. You're not telling him the truth. And then what do? You give the kid candy so it rots his teeth out. It poisons his system or her system. You know, you poison the kids. It's like vaccinations. That's child abuse. You know, I've been arguing with people on the internet going, well, we need to vaccinate our children. And anybody who doesn't vaccinate their children, they should go to jail. Who gives you the right to tell somebody else to do in their own home? So in other words, I can walk in and sit down and take over your chair, take over your remote, and throw you in the backyard with your dog. Exactly what you're telling the world, that's exactly what you're telling the children to do. You know, wake up. That's like the lady on the deal going, well, the deer, man, we can put the signs up. They're going to pay attention to the signs. It's like, come on. If you ever been hunting, it doesn't work that way. If you ever been fishing, you got to be smarter than the fish. You got to be smarter than the bear. You know, it's like paying attention to the circumstances around you. It's up to you to do that. Quit judging somebody else. You don't have a right to tell somebody else how to think. You don't have a right to tell somebody else how to raise their child. If their child did not cause personal or property damage, and you don't like the way they're raised, that's your problem. And if they didn't harm you, and nobody harmed you, you're not entitled to have a thought to speak out to somebody, tell them how to live anyways. My Bible says I have this right. So in other words, you're saying that your Bible gives you the right to tell somebody else how to live, but if somebody tells you how to live, you're telling them that they don't have a right to tell you. More and more hypocrites. You know, that's the one thing that disturbs me with people in the Bible. Christians, crusades, it's still happening today. You turn in your family members. You turn in your neighbors because you don't like them. I know. I mean, trust me, in my community, everybody hates me because I stand up for people. I've proven fraud in the court and the government. I've had public servants fired and they resigned or whatever. And people don't like me because I stand up for the rights of people, not privileges. I've even stood up for immigrants who were really immigrants, who paid their way, who followed their registration of 1938, who followed the circumstances of our Constitution, so long as they were able to pass their bloodline down or become half-breeds with us. That's what we're supposed to do, is protect one another. We're not supposed to be opening up our country to the world so we don't have food. Fukushima on the Oregon coast here, the West Coast, has killed everything. We got Hanford leaking in the Columbia River, killing everything. We got Nestle Corporation trying to tell us on the West Coast that we're not allowed to have our water because they own it, and water is a privilege. Unless you pay for water, you're not entitled to life. If you don't pay for life, you're not entitled to life. And these men are Christians. These men go to church. They fund the church. They pay the church. They buy churches. They build churches in your community for you. And then you go worship these men and women who are killing you. That's what I cannot believe with people today. They worship people who are killing their kids or poisoning them. Oh, because you need a job. It's like senators. I've been up in the House and Senate of 2 different states for 40 years. I've watched a lot of stuff in 45 years. Yeah, and I used to listen to these people. Even Nancy Pelosi, when she was starting out in the 70s. Jerry Feinstein, or Jerry Brown, you know. Oh, people want jobs. We're going to give them jobs. They don't want to have free water and electricity under 192. True story. That was back in the 70s. Everybody wants jobs. You didn't want to go out and go hunt your food. You go out and get food off the rivers. You want to go have somebody else garden for you so you can buy it in a can or frozen food. You're too lazy to go out and can, or you're too lazy to feed yourself. And then the immigration, they got an immigration bill that Nancy Pelosi put in the House and Senate to bring in another 1.5 million immigrants to take away your jobs. Mechanic jobs, McDonald's jobs, Burger King jobs, farming jobs. Okay, so in other words, they're going to be on food stamps, they're going to be on housing, and you're going to be on homeless on the street like the vets. And everybody goes, oh, these poor little veterans are on the street. You put them there. Because if you're out there whining instead of going out, it's like when they raise minimum wage. This goes to children too. I used to go out and get jobs. I didn't go to the state and ask permission to go to work. I went to work. You know, I made a deal with the owner, you know, pay me cash. And if you do a check, I'm not paying the taxes. No losses I have to. There is a law that says all native, and including Indians, and it's mainly Indian law, it says Indians and including natives, are not responsible to pay taxes. That's law. It's in the IRS code. I know, I've written it and put it in many instruments. We've got it in our instruments that I filed in Congress too, in the House and Senate of Oregon. They wrote it. We, the lawful bloodline Americans, organic constitution, quote it. And that's the one thing that you've got to pay attention to if you're legal or lawful. I've been on the phone with numerous people this last week, and I get this response going, why are you asking me if I'm lawful or legal? I'm an American. I was born here. I have rights. You know, and then I've had several people, 5 people this week, telling me about the DREAM Act. And I said, what happens when you wake up from a dream? Do you come to reality, or are you still dreaming? Well, the DREAM Act gives me rights. And I'm like, okay, if you don't have this and you don't have that, I just want you deported. Because the bottom line is, you're not entitled to a DREAM Act, because dream means, and that's the point people don't comprehend, when you wake up from a dream, you come to reality. You know, it doesn't matter what dream you have, but when you come to reality, sometimes it can be horrifying what's going around you. When you come to reality, we all been there. You know, growing up in California, earthquake country, you know, you wake up in an earthquake. Oh, shit, reality. So, I mean, and this is the point that people do not comprehend these things when they're talking about children rape and all this stuff. I'm against that stuff when it really comes down to it. But when your Bible preaches it, read the damn Bible. Quit lying to yourself. Quit lying to me about it. I tell people, I point stuff out in the Bible, and they go, well, that's not what it means, and then they want to interpret it. And I'm going, now you're acting like an attorney or judge because you want to interpret the law? You want to interpret the Bible, and then you say, Jesus Christ wrote the Bible. Jesus Christ didn't write a damn thing. That's the other point. Is there a Jesus Christ or is there not? There's been a lot of questions with that over the last 50 years, 100 years, 200 years. And the other point is, I know people that says Jesus Christ was the one who founded commercial and commerce. And then Jesus Christ was actually crucified, if you go back and if you really read some of the old document papers, he was crucified by the Christians. Oh yeah, real fact, real truth. His own parents turned him in with his relatives, and the Christians in the neighborhood turned him in to Caesar. Read it. Stop you lying. And then you got the child stuff that's going on in Hollywood. Stop lying about it. Okay, either you're going to stand up and stop it or you're not. And if you're one of those people that have been through that type of stuff, write the affidavit, put it out, start getting people to back you up and prove it. That means you stand on the street corner and you tell people the truth of what's behind it, but you have to put it in an affidavit. Otherwise, when you're talking on talk shows and doing hearsay shit, you're lying to we the people. I don't want to hear this, well, I can't talk about it now. All right? If you're going to sit there on these big talk shows and say these things, write the affidavit, get the other injured parties out there, and stand up and prove it. There have been a lot of children actors who have committed suicide over things or traumatic things that happened to them. Did everybody stand up with them? No, and you can't blame some of these people, and I'll tell you why. They weren't educated in affidavits. They weren't educated in lawful and legal structure. They didn't have the knowledge, like some of you folks don't have different knowledges of even filing to claim your bloodline that I preach about. And I get people all the time tell me, Ed, what is this you preach about bloodline? Well, do you own your property or not? Is your bloodline your property? Well, God gave me my child. Well, okay, we can go with God. I go by the Great Spirit and Mother Earth and the Creator. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in this structure of a God from a foreign country from England came, because when the people in England came, that's the British flag that you have in your courtroom today, the military flag with the gold fringe from England. That's a foreign country telling you how to live on your land. Foreign country. So, and then when you're sitting there indoctrinizing this into your own children, instead of educating them on their freedom of the Constitution, educating them that the Constitution gives them rights, not privileges. The Constitution is there to protect them from their employees, against their city, county, state, and federal employees, a.k.a. what you call government. We the people are the government. Once people start really getting that through their mind, and when they're talking publicly, you know, instead of saying the government does this and the government, no, our elected and public servants do this. Our elected and public employees are doing that. Our elected and public employees are robbing our money, or they're stealing our assets. Our elected and public employees. And then once you start using the correct terminology, your employees, because under the Constitution, the four branches of government, even Judge Scalia, who was murdered and assassinated, even stated in his final structure, the fourth branch of government is the people. The fourth branch of government is we, the people, the lawful bloodline Americans. If you don't believe me, go read Judge Scalia's stuff. See, everybody wants to quote stuff without reading them, without educating themselves. You know, I've brought up many things with, I've been attacked with, like I said, people going, Ed, you need to go get religion. I've got religion. My religion is native law. My religion is the Constitution. I don't want foreign religion. I don't want foreign structure. I don't want foreign ideas in my head. I want to go hunting and fishing. I want to know the dirt. I want to know the soil. I want to know the rivers. I want to know the creek beds. I want to know the paths to go feed myself. So that way, you know, if I have to go to the grocery store, that's the last resort. It's not my first resort, to tell you the truth. That's supposed to be my last resort, your last resort. We're supposed to have forests to feed ourselves instead of these guys cutting the forest down for jobs. Right now, the timber, I mean, I just was informed this from a lady, again. Recently, I just was talking to her, and all the timber that's being cut here in Lincoln County. And let me tell you, they're cutting millions of board feet here a month. Millions. They're taking it down to Coos Bay, and they're shipping it to Japan. And then they're making trinkets and stuff and furniture, and then they're sending it back to you to buy, and you're buying your products that you're shipping to a foreign government, that you're too lazy to get up and make your own chair, you're too lazy to make your own table. Okay, maybe you're not lazy. Maybe you don't know how to do that. But maybe you need to take the time and learn these things and teach your children how to do it. Because if we don't teach the children, how are they supposed to know how to survive? How are they supposed to protect and pass your bloodline down? How are you supposed to protect them from being raped and assaulted by perpetrators? It's like the guy in Texas that when he walked in and his 5-year-old daughter was being assaulted physically by one of the relatives, and he walked over and punched that guy 3 times in the face, killed him. He didn't intentionally mean to do it, but it happened. And people all over the internet were going, he should go to jail. That guy should have went to court first. Excuse me, I see that happening, or if you see that in your own home to another child in your own home, and that's a guest in your home, I expect you to react. Because read the law. The police are not there to protect you. The Supreme Court has stated it in numerous court cases. The police are revenue collectors for the Vatican, the city, county, and state. So when you get pulled over for traveling or just fractions, arrested, kidnapped, and raped, strip search is rape technically. Read it. It's in the laws. Really, it's in the laws that strip search is a rape. So when they rape us for our money and our assets, and all these cops, these public employees, they're all Christians, they're all Bible thumpers. And I love it when these religious people come out and say, I'm a Christian, but I'm a cop. I work for the state, I'm a Christian. Look, step out of the picture here a minute. The Christian Crusades are still going on today as they were going on 1,000 years ago. It hasn't changed. I watch people on the internet attack me because I put out different things on Christian stuff. Well, I'm going to open up the floor here in a minute for comments if anybody would like to comment too. But, I mean, it's like when people sit there and they do double standards like our children, some of them truly are being assaulted and raped. That is our responsibility to deal with it. That is our responsibility as a jury to deal with it, not a judge. A judge has no authority on the bench. Period. He has no authority. He's supposed to be a mediator for the prosecutor. That's it. Or the jury. And a jury is supposed to decide. And you're not supposed to be held in jail until you go to court. That's the point. But they do that because they're private jails so they can all make money. Because if you look at the history, the judges, attorneys, county commissioners, city employees, maybe you, even in your retirement fund, own stock in the jails, private jails, that are rape robbing the people. Because the jails are private. They're not public anymore. They privatized them back in the 70s and 80s. 1973, the hospitals became privatized. Okay, but you can still go in. They have to give you medical attention. That is still federal law. That even goes back to the 1930s. But you don't have to sign their paperwork. You got a child, walk out. You don't have to sign their paperwork. If they do that, and they try to force you into something, that's fraud. That's assault. They could be liable on the same charges as if you do it to somebody else. See, open your minds, folks. Please, open the minds. Because if we want freedom today, literally, because we live in a living hell today, and if we want freedom tomorrow, we have to educate our children on rights and responsibilities. Everybody goes, we need gun control. Well, I believe children 15 and 16 years old should have guns and arms. I mean, I was in California in the 70s. Everybody had a gun on them. Everybody had a gun in their car, just like in Oregon and Minnesota and Washington. When kids got out of school, they went hunting on the way home. You know, I mean, in the Bay Area, everybody had a gun growing up, or an arm, or a knife. But people didn't go out and just shoot anybody for the point of it. We knew if somebody did that, they got their butt kicked. So let's get back into responsibility and quit letting these democratic or these religious people dictate to us how to live. Let's get back to being responsible. You know, and I know I harp a lot on the Bible. I know I do. But when we got foreign people coming into our country telling us how to live, that's like me coming into your house, sitting in your chair, taking your remote, telling you to go lay in the doghouse in the backyard. You going to allow that to happen? Well, if you understand, you will. If you comprehend, you're going to be pissed. You won't allow it. So let's be realistic here. You know, it's really disturbing that we got this going on in society, and we can stop it. I don't want to hear this as the evil God and it's the evil devil. The devil and God were created by the church for mind control. Read it. Read the structure. In the Bible, it even says it. In your Bible says it. Read it. Really read it. It even says in your Bible. You know, I've even had people that read the Quran that pointed me out stuff through the Quran. It even says it in the Quran. You know, they can't sit there. It's like the government, or you're elected in public servants, because we the people are the government, and I mean that both ways when I say the government. Most people don't comprehend the reality of what they're doing. When you go in the woods, a lot of people are terrified when they go to the woods the first time, because they don't know the woods. They don't know where they're going. Yes, you can get lost. But the woods are no different than a big city. You get lost in a big city just like you can in the woods. The only thing in the big city is that some of them have street signs, or you get a concept of where you're at. In the woods, unless you know how to read the trails or the trees or top of trees, the corners of mountains, corners of valleys, you ain't going to get out of the woods unless you know how to read that stuff. But if you know you get out of the city, a lot easier most times than you can in the woods. And then there's people that can read the woods that get out of there a lot faster than people in the city. But it's up to you to pay attention, up to you to stop it. You know, I try to give some of these people in Hollywood information again to walk them through how to file criminal charges, to do all this, and all I hear from them is that we need to hire an attorney. We need to get this law firm done. We need to have somebody else hold our hand to do it for us because we're not responsible adults. We're not responsible. We don't know how to do it because we were not taught, we were not educated, and we don't want to be educated. We want somebody to do it for us. You know, that's sad. You know, I've seen a lot of good movies from some of these people who have been assaulted in Hollywood, and you figure that even with the acting they did in some of the movies and some of the portrayals of the acting they did, they would have the concept of that part of life when they did the acting. But obviously, it's like I heard the tale about this lady coming to comprehension, realizing what she said about the sign. But these people in Hollywood, a lot of them, they're out there, they cannot comprehend this stuff. We need money. We need money. If they actually got together and wrote affidavits and put this stuff together and went after the actual men and women who terrorized and traumatized them, these people would be in jail in no time, because these city attorneys, county district attorneys, state attorney generals, you think they came forward with all this evidence that the entire country wouldn't go in an uproar, and these people would be out of office, and the cops would be out of office and out of a job? They sure to hell would be. You know, that's the thing that gets me. People don't think. They don't comprehend reality of the world. They live in their little four-square house. They live in their little cities, and they can't look at past their front nose. I mean, front, they can't look past their nose. Sad. So I don't know, do we have people in the queue that would like to speak up?
Q&A session has started.
The floor is open if anybody wants to speak.
If you want to join the question and answer session, just hit *61.
Okay. Well, that answers that question right now. And for all those who even know Corey Feldman, message him. He's on Facebook. Tell him to learn. You know, these guys are sitting out there asking for money, asking for things, and they're not willing to even protect their own children, their own bloodline. And then when it happens to their own children, they're going to accept it. They're going to go to the cops, go, poor cops, you need to do this. Oh, poor cops, you need to do that. They ain't going to do a damn thing for you. You know, and just like your parents, they sat there and stole your money in Hollywood. The greed got to them. They didn't love, they didn't care for you. They did the same thing that the British government does to their own kids. That's the sad part. We live in a structure that does it. People, you want it done to you then, because if you're claiming that you believe in the Bible, then know what the Bible means. Stand up. If you're claiming that you're a Christian, then be a Christian. And I know people really get upset about me. I've got it in my own county, my own state, because I've even publicly stated this publicly in different major public events about the Bible. And people go, ooh, been there, done it. You know, my point is I finally came to the conclusion, I guess I'm not supposed to be loved and liked. I'm supposed to be here telling the truth to see if people are willing to wake up. Because if they don't wake up in the living hell you're living right now, because you are living in hell. And if you don't wake up, your bloodline is condemned and you are not to exist. That's a fact. And everybody goes, oh, women shouldn't have abortion. That's her body. It's her body, not your body. And then you're going to tell somebody else how to believe in their religion? Maybe that's her religious belief. But you don't want somebody to tell you to believe in your religion. You don't want somebody to tell you how to believe. But you're willing to force somebody else to believe because of your religious belief. We have a Constitution that gives men and women equal rights. I don't want to hear the Bible. The Bible came from England. It's not American. The Bible destroyed America. The Bible destroyed native people. That's a fact. Native people didn't have a Bible and book to go by. They went by the earth and the soil. They listened to one another. They took care of one another. And it's like today, if you don't get paid, well, my mommy and daddy didn't pay me. My grandparents didn't pay me to take care of them. So I'm just waiting for them to die so I can sell their land. And that way I get their land. I don't have to put up with them. I don't have to take care of them. That's the saddest part. If people took care of their elders and got their land passed down, they could be off the tax rolls. They could be out of slavery. They don't think. Now, California, Proposition 13, garbage can bill passed in the 70s. And that's the one thing. If you pass that property down in California, even today, some of those properties don't pay taxes. And then the other ones, I think the maximum tax bill on them were $350 a year. And that includes downtown LA and downtown San Francisco mansions. But see, people don't think about these things. I don't have a problem with a basic structure on that, so long as that, I could read the tax bill from the police department, the fire department. But you can't today. I know I filed on the police department, fire department, water bill, school bill. I even proved the present county commissioner, Doug Hunt, former school committee member, and all of them embezzled $30 million from the school district. I know. I recalled them because they embezzled the money. All 5 of the school board members I recalled. And then all of a sudden I'm getting pulled over, threatened at gunpoint, literally. Guns coming to my head from the cops. I've lived this stuff, and I'm still here. But, I'm not going to live in fear to these men and women. These are my employees. They are not gods. They are not anything but servants. And once you start calling them elected and public servants, and a lot of these people, they know I address them as servant. I get different respect from them. I get a lot of respect from a lot of these public servants. Some hate my guts, turn around and run, literally. Some hate my guts, but I got a lot of respect from a lot of them, and sometimes when I do ask for information, I mysteriously get it. But it has a lot to do with being honorable and honest, because when we have elected and public servants and public cops that are honoring their oath of servitude, I have respect for these men and women. When you have a cop out there that's honoring his employment, not out there writing citations, kidnapping people for personal financial gain. Yes, they do have ticket quotas. They really do. They have performance standards that they have to go by. That really is a fact. That is really a truth. And the only way that changes is you have to change it. I've got videos on the site, and I've passed them out over the years where I proved that police chiefs have honestly admitted it. I do know that there's been police departments retired and resigned. I will be working on a ballot title coming up, so that way hopefully that will get put out here in several states. I've talked to many people on it that said when I get it written up in the form that I have to write it up for, so it can be done where people who are going to vote on it comprehend it. They will put it on the ballot to disband the police department right out of the city. Some cities have already disbanded. There's been a few cities just in 2007 where the entire police department walked off the job because they even admitted at public testimony when they walked off the job that they were tired of raping and robbing people. Same thing that King John did in the Treaty of 1213. Admitted he was tired of raping and robbing people for the Vatican, the church. Remember, the church rapes and robs people. That's what they teach in the Bible. Oh, and they read the Bible. It even tells you can rape children. Children are acceptable to have sex with adults. And if you want to bitch about the Muslims, which Muslims are banned in this country, to tell you the truth, that was done by, I believe his name was Jefferson. And the Marines and the Navy's department were actually formed for that purpose. So you have to realize that that was formed for that purpose, to protect you and your bloodline. Realize that without your bloodline, you do not exist. You have no future. People say, I'm reincarnated. Well, okay, I can comprehend reincarnation, but reincarnation comes through your son and daughter. I don't believe the other side. Once you're dead, you're dead. I do believe that because I've been what they call legally dead 3 times already. So I don't believe in the other side. In my years, I've done a lot of things where supposedly in houses and stuff, there's supposed to be ghosts. I haven't run across that. I ran across people playing tricks and mind games. But this is the point that we have to start protecting the bloodline. The point that when you see something happen, to use your brain to know that if it is a real assault, injured party, knowing a crime is an injured party or property damage, speeding, running through a red light, those are not crimes. Those are infractions. City Code, administrative rules. Administrative rules apply to elected and public servants, immigration. So when you go to church, think about these things. And if you are a church member, think about these things when you read it. Trust me, I know you've read about the stuff in the Bible. The Bible is the most gruesome book. They talk about war, rape, incest, all this stuff in the Bible. And then people go, well, that's my religion. Well, so your religion is to do that, and that's why Christians accept it. They allow it. They want, I don't want to say they want it to happen to them, but it's almost that they do in a sense because now they got something to bitch about. Now they got something that they can whine and say, I've been through this. How about stop whining and going after the people that actually harmed you? Making sure that they pay the cost. If it really matters to you, and if you really care about it, then file the charges, write the affidavit, put it out there with evidence. Remember, if you put an affidavit that ain't true, you're liable. You can go to jail for up to life on an affidavit. It depends on how bad are the circumstances that you harmed somebody in that affidavit. Literally. So that is your liability, your responsibility to know the difference in those things. So put together an affidavit that's realistic, that proves it. Nobody can argue with you then. You put an affidavit out and people comprehend it, my God, you'll get support like you wouldn't believe. I mean, me and Dave have been preaching about it. I'm going to be putting up eventually a public bulletin board on that on the website so people can go to that and they could, pull up people that are wanting to sign affidavits and stuff. I'm getting to that point. I haven't got to that point yet. We're working on it. But if you people want this stuff, then you have to do it. Otherwise, people are getting to the point where you get tired of listening to people whine out there in the world. You're not doing anything. You got a lot of these actors in Hollywood, a lot of these people in Hollywood coming out and going, I was raped, this happened. How come they're going, well, the district attorney won't do nothing. The district attorney won't do nothing. The cops won't write the police reports. They won't do nothing. Read their job description. You are the liable instrument party. If you don't write it and put your John Hancock or your blood on that paper, your life to go to jail if you lie, why are they going to put their butt in the sling to defend you when you're not defending yourself? I mean, that's just a point that people really need to think about these things before they speak. I mean, I speak all the time. I know that when I speak, people get upset. They hate me for what I speak. Tell me, I do. I know it. Like, yesterday, one of my neighbors, we were talking about things about the community, and he goes, the government around here, they really hate you, Ed? I said, yeah, I know. He goes, a lot of people in town hate you? I said, yeah, I know, because I told the truth. All these people came to me. They came to me because they were bitching about the mill in my town causing cancer, so I proved it in the papers that they had a high cancer rate and all this stuff. So then the mill came out to the employees and put it in the contract. If you work here, you get cancer, you can't sue us. Then they got upset at me because I couldn't sue the mill anymore at the back door, and it's like, no, you put that in the contract. You wanted a job, you could actually change the contract. They can't stop you from hiring you in the community on that because they already got it on the deal. And it's been put in a newspaper that way, in the Newport Times. Part of it was put in the Oregonian. This goes back to 1996, 7, 99, and 2001. Well, like I said, I've been in the newspapers around the Northwest here, going back since the 1990s. Calling me a hellraiser, You know, an activist hellraiser. That was just the activist hellraiser was one of the major titles that the major newspapers ran on me for years around here. I didn't file stuff. I would go to the meetings and bring out the truth, how they were stealing. I'd bring up their names, exactly who was involved. I even did at a public meeting where one of the sheriff's deputies raped a 17-year-old kid that got her pregnant in the honor farm, or the local prison here. Brought it right out in public view, man, and everybody's like, who can't say that? And the county commissioner's going, you should be arrested for telling the people that. And then all of a sudden, a week later, the girl shipped to Tillamook, and all of a sudden, the sheriff's deputy is fired and gone overnight. Well, I guess I was telling the truth. I haven't had a problem going out to these meetings and publicly state them. That's why, you know, even with the congressmen around here, that's why they went after and threatened me if I didn't have my papers to travel in this state, they were going to shoot me on sight by the orders of the governor. Oh, go listen to the videotape of the police chief threatening me. We even got one of the police chiefs, Don Dennison, convicted of 21 out of 23 charges here. Don Dennison, type it in the internet, Toledo, Oregon, and convicted. I mean, this is what goes on, and then all of a sudden people don't want to stand. People want to bitch about these people rape, robbing, and stealing, but then when it comes up to stand up to the people who are actually going after these people, even defending you. I mean, I've defended many people, even got their children back. I even got their children back and went through this where after I got their children back, and then all of a sudden the children had medical issues and they didn't want to deal with the medical issues or the child, so they signed it back over the state. Pissed me off. It's like, why the hell did you come to me to get your child then? See, that's what gets to me. Either you want the responsibility or you don't. And if you believe in that Bible, then believe in that Bible and live by what you believe, but quit preaching to everybody else they should live in your enslavement or your hell. We already got enough hell in today's society we're living in, literally. That is the point. We got enough today we are literally living in today. Every time a cop pulls up behind you, you're terrified. 60s and 70s, you never really worried about it. I remember in California all the way up through the 80s, cops had to ask permission before they came on your property. Nancy Pelosi was one of those people, Boxer and Feinstein and all of them, pushing for these laws so they could kick the door in. You know, the children's bills, the fraud on the children's bill. I mean, this is where people, you know. So when it really frustrates me when people want to bitch, I'll be putting some more things together here and getting them out. But it's up to you. I don't want to hear it. You know, and the other thing is, you know, like all these Hollywood stars. You know, then afterwards you file the charges on them. You might not go through with them. They might come up and say, hey, we didn't know. All right, I accept your apology. That's fair. But don't do it to the next guy. The next guy comes up. You don't have to educate them. It's not your job when it comes down to it. Don't put yourself in an insurance liability issue. I do have to say that because we don't want to put them in a liability issue. You got to think about that one, you know, because you don't want to be in a liability issue yourself to lose your home, your assets, your future. But you can educate those around you that are willing to listen. We do that, we can save this country. Like everybody's going, Trump's going to save us. God's going to save us. Well, let me know when your God saved you, because if you actually look at history, people have been preaching God's been going to save them since the plague. And be careful. Apparently, there's 2 countries that got the plague in their countries now going around. So it depends on where you go in the world. Better pay attention, because 2 countries is on Facebook going around the internet. They're claiming 2 countries have the plague right now in their country. Population control, folks. That's what the FEMA camps are really about. So you think that these people are going to stand in your way when you claim your bloodline because they know that they're learning how to claim theirs, so that way they're not in it? Some of these public servants are learning how to claim their retirement, so at least they got it. You don't have to be best friends with them so long as we show each other respect and common courtesy. That's what it's about. So, anyhow, I've been going on for an hour and a half tonight. I still got one tomorrow night. I still got some other things to finish up tonight. If nobody has nothing to say, I definitely would like to say thank you for joining us tonight. We would definitely appreciate your thoughts. Everybody knows me on Facebook to get a hold of me. I don't have a problem responding, you know, but if you want some knowledge, I don't have a problem passing on what I've learned. You know, I'm not out here asking for a handout. It's sad enough that I'm scrimping the way it is and trying to barely keep my stuff going because, like, the sites and stuff, I pay for it. I'm disabled and I pay for this stuff out of my own pocket. Nobody helps me. You know, and if you would like to help, let me know. I'll tell you where to send a donation or a gift. I don't like using the word donation because that's a 501c3 or 9 word. That's the devil's word because when you register with the government, you're giving your rights away. And I have the actual law, even by the 5th Amendment, says you don't have to pay taxes in that. You know, I'll save you money there too. You don't have to pay these things. But if you eventually, you know, let me know if you'd like to help with a gift. You know, we'll get you the information, like with the water company or phone company or the electricity company. Because, you know, if you pay them, if you're willing to help directly, I'm still trying to get an 800 number up for us because when we had an 800 number, we had a lot of people, because a lot of people got numbers that without an 800 number, it cost them actual money for minutes. Which great setup for the phone companies to rape, rob, and pillage. Christians, remember, Christians own this stuff too. And if you notice, and if you actually do the research in your local churches, most of your churches own your jail or have investments in your local jails, your private jails that put you in jail. You know, I always love it with these preachers, you know, that people end up in jail. How come these preachers are not at the jail getting you out of jail? How come the reverends are not there getting people out of jail when they even know in their own community the law? Oh, damn, that's right. A lot of these preachers, when you tell them in confidence, and you wonder why DHS shows up on your doorstep out of the middle of the blue, remember, think about what you told a judge. I mean, not a judge, but a preacher. Think about what you said to somebody in church. And then all of a sudden something happens. Christians. You know, people go, why, you're against Christians. I know I've been slammed on this, but either you're honorable men or women or you're not. It's not Christian. It's not Jehovah's Witness. It's not, you know, well, Muslims could go back to where they came from. That's why the Marines and the Navy was formed, to tell you the truth. Look it up. Because their religion is the way they are. They'll never change. And look at real Christianity, the Christian crusades that are going on today. Look at the Pope. When the Pope says Satan is God, God is Satan, type it in. It's actually in the Bible. It says it right in the Bible. That's what gets to me. People interpret the Bible. I've been to Bible studies and stuff and watched preachers and watched people at the table interpret stuff for their own convenience. Interpret it for their own convenience. Just like a judge or an attorney does in courtroom. Interprets the law, what they call law. Laws are statute, codes, and administrative rules. When it comes down to people who are injured and property damage, that's Constitution, that's injured party. Totally two separate worlds. An infraction, that's not law. That's your Bible. That's your black robe pope, because your Bible runs your churches. You violated because you sped down the road. You almost hit a child. Did you hit a child? No. But you almost, or you could have. No children in the whole area. Didn't see a child there for 3 days. But you were doing 50 and a 30, but there could have been a child there. So if there was a child, you could have hit it, but there wasn't. But if there was, you might have hit it, but even though you didn't hit it, we have to punish you. But you didn't hurt anybody. These what ifs and these whatevers. That's the one thing that is really frustrating. And if you actually harm somebody, you should get what is coming to you. Admit to it. Native law. When a native man or a woman harms somebody, a real native, not the ones that have been doctrinized by the religion, admit their right or wrongs. Deal with it. But when we have these statute codes and administrative rules dictating to us how to live on our land, invaded our country, dictating it by their book, and then all of a sudden these people want us to live by their rules, their books on our land? We didn't invite you here. You came here. Where is your respect to we the people? It doesn't matter if the people that came here in the 1990s that are lawful bloodline Americans that been here, they're lawful. Who gave you the right to come in and tell these people how to live? They were immigrants that came here, became lawful, not legal anymore. And remember, we didn't have this legal lawful system technically. Well, actually, it started back in 1770, if you do the real history, when they did the first doctrination of paperwork in 1774. But we didn't have the immigration structure and registration until Ellis Island, and then that went and didn't come effective until World War II, the 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act, Foreign Agent Registration Act. So with that, I think I'm going to end up closing tonight. I thank everybody for listening, and for those who are going to listen down the road, may the Great Spirit bless you. May Mother feed you, give you your life. Without the Creator, none of us exist. And for those people that are hardened, may God bless you. But when you sit out there and you preach to people out in public that these things happen to you, then make sure you put an affidavit together, write it, prove it. I hate it when people do emotions and feelers, especially feelers. Feelers don't exist. People get emotions going, and sometimes those emotions ain't even real. So when you're not dealing with real life, that is the frustration. So, and that's the other point too. With these actors that are out there doing this stuff, some of them I sent them information. I provided information to them. Literally, not a joke. I mean, trust me, if people know me, a lot of people contact me. I give them information. A lot of people I've contacted that listen to me, that still talk to me and stuff, that contacted me. And they're getting things that, they want their bloodline, they want the structure of their life. Because I talk differently than most of these other ones. I don't start doing this national IDs and stuff. Either I'm working because we want a lawful. I don't have a problem with an ID card for lawful Americans. I do not have an issue or problem with that. I want to know who's in our country lawful and legally. We should know who's in our country lawfully and legal. That's our right to know. And if they're immigrants, the original Immigration Act states clearly states, if these immigrants come into your community, you don't like them, you report them to ICE, they're shipped out. End of story. They don't get a court hearing. This ain't a democracy. We're a republic form of government. Republic versus democracy video. Type it in and watch it. Go read Benjamin Franklin's papers on immigration. Literally. We don't have an obligation to people that come to this country. We don't have an obligation to send food and water to other countries. I don't comprehend why people in other countries are not collecting food, raising food, protecting themselves. People think, oh, we have to go to the grocery store to get food. How come we're not raising food? How come? Main thing that pisses me off, and for those out there who go to church, ask your pastor, how come you're not raising food on your church? How come you don't have at least a 6-month supply in that church? Most churches have lots of land, big storage spaces. How come you don't have a 6-month supply of water and food, at least in the cupboards for your own congregation? You don't. Can you expect somebody else to save you? We can save ourselves. Plant food in your city. Throw your garden seeds along the highway. Your fruit tree seeds, throw them around the city and the highway. Then all of a sudden, my God, now we got food again. People say, oh, you don't grow food, you're going to jail. You collect water, you're going to jail. Oh, that's right. Romans 13, or 1, 2, and 3 in the Bible. Read it. The Bible says, I shall do what the government says. If I don't do what the government, the Roman Catholic Church tells me, Christianity tells me, I go to jail. Fact. That's a fact. So, but anyhow, I'm going to end this evening, seeing that nobody wants to speak up. I appreciate everybody, those who have listened to me. I've sent out information to the ones that have asked me information for the last week. I'm still trying to get a couple of the affidavits that I'm putting together for some people finished up. The idea, I'm not putting them together. I'm throwing the ideas for them to put in their own affidavits, their own writing. They just ask me questions. I'm just providing administrative rules to them for their work. So that's up to them to do their own work. And so we do appreciate you joining us. And we do appreciate your thoughts. And remember, plant food, collect water. Plant food, collect water. Think about your bloodline. How are they going to survive? You brought them in the world. I'm not saying it's your responsibility, because you can't say that to a deer or an elk or a chicken or a duck. You can't say it to a lizard or fish. But we can sit there and say, hey, if you've got land, protect the land of your bloodline. Write it up. I got affidavits. I'm working on that. I haven't finished yet, too, on those things. And read the one I put up for the children on your lawful bloodline, on the system, how it works compared to the way you think it works. I put it out all over. It's been all over the internet. I know people, I've been off the internet primarily for a month now, that I couldn't post on different sites because Christians went out and attacked me, because I posted up about the rights to their bloodline, so they own their children, and, and I'm being attacked going, God owns them, we don't own them, God does this. Who's God? Where's God? Who's your God? Where's God? Why is there a God? Just thoughts. Anyhow, may the Great Spirit bless you. May Mother feed you, take care of you. Without Mother and the Great Spirit, we don't have life. And the Creator gave us the beginning of it all. Because without that, none of us would be here right now tonight. Bless you, and have a blissful evening.
All right, class is over, everybody. And again, homework, just keep on learning. And like I said, the pop quiz is every day of your life. You never know when you'll need this stuff. It is October 29th, 2017. Thank you for listening, and have a good day. Catch Ed tomorrow at Disclaimers. Same time.